Ladies and gentlemen, as we step into 2025, I want you to ask yourself a fundamental question. Do you truly believe in yourself? Not in some vague, wishful thinking manner, but in the deep, unshakable way that pushes you forward, even when everything seems to be against you. The world is chaotic, suffering is real, obstacles are inevitable, but the difference between those who rise and those who fall is not merely intelligence, talent, or luck. It is the ability to take responsibility for your own life and forge ahead, no matter the odds. Believing in yourself is not about arrogance or blind optimism. It's about recognizing your potential and setting your house in order. It's about being brutally honest with yourself, identifying your weaknesses and fixing them. It's about aiming at something meaningful and taking disciplined action toward it, day by day, moment by moment. You are not as weak as you think. The same mind that criticizes you, that doubts you, that tells you that you are not enough, is also capable of extraordinary growth, but only if you discipline it, only if you confront reality instead of hiding from it. Your future self is watching you. A year from now, 5 years from now, who will you be? The person who made excuses, or the person who stood up, faced the storm, and built something better? Belief in yourself is not just a feeling, it is a choice. Choose it. Self-belief is not just a pleasant idea, it is a fundamental necessity for success. Without it, you hesitate, you second-guess yourself, and you allow the world to dictate your path instead of carving it out for yourself. Every meaningful achievement, every moment of true growth begins with the conviction that you are capable of taking on the challenge ahead. It doesn't mean you will succeed immediately or that the road will be easy. In fact, the more ambitious the goal, the more difficult the journey. But if you lack belief in your own ability to learn, to adapt, and to persist, you will never even take the first step. Doubt is an ever-present force, whispering that you're not good enough, that others are more talented, that failure is inevitable. And sometimes it's not just a whisper, it's a roar. But those who achieve great things are not those who never feel doubt. They are the ones who refuse to be controlled by it. They act despite it. They push forward when their own minds tell them to stop. Success is not reserved for the lucky, the privileged, or the naturally gifted. It belongs to those who believe they have the power to change, to improve, and to shape their future. If you approach life with a mindset that says, "I am capable of more," you open the door to learning, to growth, and to resilience. You start taking risks that lead to breakthroughs instead of letting opportunities pass you by out of fear. Think about every person who has ever done something extraordinary. Every entrepreneur who built something from nothing. Every artist who created something timeless. Every athlete who pushed the boundaries of human potential. What separates them from the rest is not just skill or intelligence. It is the unshakable belief that they could become more than they were yesterday. Believing in yourself does not mean ignoring reality or pretending you are something you're not. It means recognizing your potential and committing to the process of turning that potential into something real. It means embracing challenges not as barriers but as stepping stones. It means understanding that failure is not a verdict but a lesson. If you wait for certainty before you act, you will never move. If you let every setback convince you to stop, you will never grow. The world will test you and people will doubt you. But the most dangerous thing is when you start doubting yourself. Because the moment you do, you hand over your power. You allow life to happen to you instead of shaping it with your own hands. You are stronger than you think. You are capable of more than you know. But none of that matters if you don't believe it first. The world is not a safe, predictable place. It is chaotic, unpredictable, and often merciless. No matter how much we try to impose order, control our surroundings, or shield ourselves from hardship, suffering will find its way into our lives. It always has, and it always will. This is not a cause for despair. It is simply the reality of existence. And the sooner we accept this truth, the sooner we can develop the strength to confront it. There will be loss. There will be disappointment. People you love will leave. Circumstances will turn against you, and moments of deep struggle will come. No one escapes this. No amount of intelligence, money, or preparation can prevent the fundamental nature of life from asserting itself. The question is not whether you will suffer, but how you will respond when suffering comes knocking at your door. Many people resent the unfairness of the world, and for good reason. Injustice exists. Bad things happen to good people. Hard work does not always guarantee reward. But resentment, bitterness, and self-pity do not change these facts. They only weaken you. They turn you into a victim, someone who sees life as something happening to them, rather than something they have the power to navigate. Strength is not found in avoiding chaos and suffering. It is found in facing them head on. It is found in choosing to carry the burden instead of being crushed by it. When hardship comes, you have two choices. You can allow it to break you, or you can let it forge you into something stronger. The people who rise in life are not the ones who had it easy, but the ones who learned how to bear the weight of existence without collapsing. The chaos of the world is not just something to endure. It is also an opportunity. It is in chaos that new possibilities emerge. It is through suffering that resilience is built. If you refuse to confront these realities, you remain weak. But if you embrace them, if you take on responsibility despite the difficulty, you develop the kind of strength that cannot be easily shaken. You cannot change the fundamental nature of the world, but you can change yourself. And in doing so, you will not only withstand the chaos, you will rise above it. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to take responsibility for your problems, your failures, or your potential. That burden, that opportunity, belongs to you alone. Until you accept this fully, your life will remain stagnant, dictated by external circumstances rather than your own will. Taking responsibility for your life is not about blame. It's about power. The moment you stop pointing fingers at your past, at society, at bad luck, and start asking, what can I do to fix this? You reclaim control. You become the kind of person who acts rather than reacts, who shapes their future rather than being a passive victim of it. Most people avoid responsibility because it's difficult. It means admitting that your current situation is, at least in part, the result of your own actions or your inaction. It means acknowledging that your failures are not just random misfortunes, but consequences of choices you have made. That's an uncomfortable truth, but within that discomfort is the key to real change. If your choices got you here, then different choices can get you somewhere better. No one ever improved their life by avoiding responsibility. If you refuse to own your mistakes, you will repeat them. If you refuse to take charge of your actions, you will always be at the mercy of others. But if you start where you are, with whatever control you do have, and take one step in the right direction, you will discover something incredible. Progress is possible. Taking responsibility is not just about fixing problems. It's about building meaning. When you take control of your own life, you stop living aimlessly. You stop feeling lost. You develop purpose, structure, and a sense of direction. You start to see that your actions matter, that your choices shape the world around you. So ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What responsibilities am I neglecting? What would my life look like if I truly took charge of it? The answer is uncomfortable, but it is also your way forward. Because responsibility is not a burden, it is the foundation of freedom. Believing yourself is not about thinking you're better than others, nor is it about pretending you have all the answers. It is not arrogance, delusion, or blind optimism. True self-belief is something entirely different. It is the recognition of your potential, the understanding that you can grow, can improve, and can become more than you are today. Arrogance is fragile. It is built on insecurity, a desperate need to convince yourself and others that you are already great. But deep down, the arrogant person knows they are standing on shaky ground, terrified of being exposed as inadequate. That is not self-belief, it is a mask, and masks always crack under pressure. Genuine self-belief, on the other hand, is built on something solid, the acknowledgement that you have strengths and weaknesses, but that your weaknesses are not fixed. You are a work in progress, you are capable of learning, adapting, and overcoming obstacles. If you believe that, not as a vague idea, but as a deep conviction, then you have the foundation for real growth. But belief alone is not enough. It must be backed by action. Telling yourself you have potential means nothing if you do not act in a way that proves it. You build self-belief through effort, through discipline, through pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. Every time you face a challenge head on, every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you improve even slightly, you reinforce that belief. This is not about thinking you are invincible or pretending that failure does not exist. You will fail. You will make mistakes. But self-belief means knowing that failure is not the end. It is a lesson. It means understanding that setbacks do not define you unless you allow them to. If you do not believe in your potential, you will never develop it. If you do not believe you can improve, you will never take the steps necessary to do so. The world does not reward hesitation. It does not reward self-doubt. It rewards those who take action despite their fears, who trust in their ability to grow, who recognize that they are not stuck where they are. Believing in yourself is not arrogance. It is the quiet, unshakable confidence that says, I am not done yet. I can become something more. Lying to yourself is one of the most dangerous things you can do. It keeps you weak, stagnant, and blind to the very things that are holding you back. If you want to grow, if you want to improve, if you want to build a life that actually means something, you must be brutally honest with yourself. No excuses, no self-deception, just the raw truth. People avoid this kind of honesty because it's uncomfortable. It forces you to confront your flaws, your bad habits, your wasted potential. It means admitting that some of your problems are your own fault. That's painful. But avoiding that pain is even worse because it keeps you trapped in the same patterns, making the same mistakes, and blaming everything but yourself. Look at your life right now. Are you where you want to be? Are you the person you want to become? If the answer is no, then ask yourself why. Not in a shallow, dismissive way, but with real, unfiltered honesty. Where are you cutting corners? Where are you being lazy? Where are you letting fear dictate your actions? What lies have you told yourself to justify staying the same? Most people refuse to do this because it shatters their comfortable illusions. It's easier to say you're unlucky than to admit you haven't put in the effort. It's easier to blame others than to acknowledge that you've made poor choices. But the truth is, the sooner you face reality, the sooner you can change it. Being honest with yourself doesn't mean beating yourself up. It's not about self-hatred. It's about self-awareness. It's about looking at yourself clearly, seeing both your strengths and your weaknesses, and taking responsibility for what needs to change. Because once you do that, you give yourself the power to fix what's broken. If you lie to yourself, you will stay weak. If you tell yourself the truth, you will grow. And in the end, the only person who truly knows whether you're living up to your potential is you. So stop pretending, stop making excuses, and face reality head on. That's the first step toward becoming someone you can actually respect. Drifting through life without a goal is a recipe for frustration, resentment, and wasted potential. If you don't aim at something meaningful, you will be pulled in every direction, reacting to circumstances instead of shaping them. You need a target, a purpose, something worth striving for, because without it, you have no direction, no structure, and no real reason to push yourself forward. A meaningful goal is not just about money, status, or recognition. It's about something deeper, something that aligns with your values, challenges you to grow, and makes the struggle of life worth enduring. It could be mastering a skill, building a career that matters, becoming a stronger person, or making a real impact on the world around you. Whatever it is, it must be something that genuinely matters to you, not something society or other people tell you to pursue. But having a goal is not enough. The world is full of people who dream but never act. The difference between success and failure is not talent or luck. It is discipline and commitment, the ability to show up every day even when you don't feel like it, the ability to push forward when progress is slow, the ability to endure discomfort and frustration without giving up. Discipline is doing what is necessary, not what is easy. Commitment is sticking to your path even when distractions and obstacles try to pull you away. Together, they separate those who achieve great things from those who only talk about them. The path to any meaningful goal will be difficult. You will fail. You will doubt yourself. You will be tempted to quit. But if the goal is truly meaningful, you must keep moving forward, adjusting as needed, but never stopping. Progress is not always linear, but every step you take, every disciplined action, every moment of perseverance builds momentum. So set a goal that matters. Define it clearly. Break it into smaller steps. Then commit to it fully with discipline as your guide. Because a life without purpose is suffering without meaning. But a life with a goal worth pursuing is a struggle that makes you stronger. Your mind is the battleground where your future is decided. It can either be your greatest enemy, sabotaging you with doubt, fear, and excuses, or it can be your greatest ally, driving you forward with discipline, clarity, and purpose. The difference lies in how you train it. Left unchecked, your mind will gravitate toward comfort, weakness, and distraction. It will tell you that you're not good enough, that it's too hard, that you should give up. It will replay past failures, exaggerate future risks, and feed you every reason to stay exactly where you are. If you allow these thoughts to control you, they will. and you will stay small, uncertain, and paralyzed by fear. But your mind is also capable of incredible strength. It can be trained to endure, to focus, to push through hardship. It can be sharpened like a weapon, allowing you to cut through confusion, self-doubt, and external pressure. Training your mind is not about eliminating negative thoughts. It's about refusing to let them dictate your actions. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts. Are they helping you or hindering you? Are they based on reality, or are they just fear masquerading as logic? When your mind tells you that you can't do something, challenge it. Demand proof. More often than not, you will realize that the limits you thought were real are nothing more than mental barriers you've accepted without question. The second step is discipline. Just as a weak body becomes strong through training, a weak mind becomes resilient through effort. Force yourself to do the difficult things. When you feel resistance, lean into it. When your mind tells you to quit, push forward anyway. Every time you override weakness, you make your mind stronger. The third step is focus. The world is full of distractions designed to keep you weak, passive, and easily manipulated. If you let your attention be scattered, you will achieve nothing of substance. Train your mind to focus on what truly matters. Cut out the noise. Stop feeding your mind garbage and direct your energy towards something meaningful. Your mind will shape your life whether you control it or not. Train it to be your ally, or it will become your enemy. The choice is yours. Fear is a natural part of life. It will always be there, whispering doubts, magnifying risks, and trying to keep you small. But fear is not the enemy. The real danger is letting fear dictate your choices, allowing it to control you, to hold you back, to stop you from becoming who you could be. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of it. It is standing up when every part of you wants to retreat. It is stepping forward when your mind is screaming at you to stay where it's safe. And the only way to develop that kind of courage is through action, not through waiting, not through wishing, and certainly not through staying comfortable. If you let fear make your decisions, you will avoid challenges, take the easy path, and shrink from responsibility. And at first that might feel like relief, but over time it becomes a prison. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you make yourself weaker. Every time you avoid difficulty, you reinforce the idea that you can't handle it. And that is how people become trapped in lives they resent, because fear held the reins and they never fought back. The only way to break this cycle is through action. You do the thing you're afraid of. You take the first step, even if it's shaky. You put yourself in uncomfortable situations and prove to yourself again and again that you can handle them. The more you do this, the more courage you build. Not because fear disappears, but because you learn that it doesn't have to control you. Courage is a skill. It is built like a muscle, through repeated effort, through deliberate exposure to discomfort, through stepping into the unknown and realizing that you are more capable than you thought. The people you admire, the ones who seem fearless, are not special. They simply learn to act despite their fear, and over time, fear lost its power over them. So ask yourself, where is fear holding me back? What am I avoiding? What would my life look like if I stopped letting fear make my choices for me? Then act. Take control. Move forward. Because comfort will never make you strong, and waiting will never make you brave. Every action you take today is shaping the person you will become. Your future self, the version of you 5, 10, or 20 years from now, is watching. And the choices you make right now will determine whether that person is stronger, wiser, and more capable, or filled with regret, wondering why you wasted so much time. It's easy to get caught up in short-term comfort, to take the easy road, to put things off until tomorrow. But tomorrow quickly becomes next week, next month, next year, and before you know it, you've built a life you don't even respect. The truth is, your future is not something that just happens to you. It is something you create, one decision at a time. Every time you choose discipline over laziness, your future self gets stronger. Every time you choose courage over fear, your future self becomes braver. Every time you choose growth over comfort, your future self moves closer to becoming the person you were meant to be. But the opposite is also true. Every time you choose to procrastinate, to make excuses, to avoid responsibility, you are stealing from the person you could have become. Think about the people you admire. They didn't get there by accident. They made sacrifices. They put in the work when no one was watching. They endured discomfort and failure, knowing that their efforts would pay off in the long run. Your future self is counting on you to do the same. So, ask yourself, are my actions today building the life I want, or am I just avoiding what's difficult? If you keep doing what you're doing now, where will you be in a year, 5 years, 10? Will you look back with pride, knowing you made the hard choices that led to something meaningful? Or will you be filled with regret, wishing you had been stronger, more disciplined, more committed? The future is not written yet, and you have the power to shape it. But that power only exists in the present moment. Make choices today that your future self will thank you for, because one day that person will look back at you either with gratitude or disappointment, and the choice is entirely yours. Believing in yourself is not something that simply happens. It is a conscious choice you must make every single day. It is not just an emotion that comes and goes, nor is it something that depends on external validation. It is a decision, a commitment to act in alignment with your highest potential, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Emotions are unreliable. Some days you will wake up feeling motivated, confident, ready to take on the world. Other days, doubt will creep in. Fear will whisper in your ear. Your failures and past mistakes will try to convince you that you are not capable. If you rely on emotion alone, you will falter. But if you treat self-belief as a discipline, as something you reinforce daily through action, then it becomes unshakable. Your highest potential is not a fixed point. It is something you grow into. And the only way to reach it is by aligning your actions with it. That means doing what you know you should do, even when you don't feel like it. It means refusing to lower your standards just because no one is watching. It means choosing effort over excuses, responsibility over comfort, and persistence over self-pity. True self-belief is built through action. When you take control of your choices, when you push yourself beyond your perceived limits, when you prove to yourself over and over again that you can rise to the challenge, that is when belief becomes real. Not because you told yourself empty affirmations, but because your actions confirmed it. So every day ask yourself, am I acting in a way that aligns with the person I want to become? Am I making choices that reflect my potential, or am I settling for less? Because self-belief is not just about how you think, it's about what you do. And the more you act in alignment with your highest potential, the more unstoppable you become. Life will test you. It will throw obstacles in your path, challenge your resolve, and push you to the edge of what you think you can handle. There will be moments of doubt, of failure, of pain. But in those moments, you must remember one thing. You are not done yet. You have within you the capacity to grow, to improve, to rise above every setback. You are capable of far more than you realize, but only if you choose to believe it. Not just once, not just when it's easy, but every single day. So take responsibility for your life. Be brutally honest with yourself. Set a meaningful goal and pursue it with discipline. Do not let fear dictate your choices. Train your mind to be your ally, not your enemy. And above all, act in alignment with your highest potential, because your future self is watching. And one day you will look back on this moment, on the choices you made, on the battles you fought, on the strength you built. Make sure you can look back with pride, knowing that you did not shrink from the challenge, that you did not waste your potential, that you became the person you were meant to be. The path will not be easy, but nothing truly worthwhile ever is. And if you keep moving forward, if you keep pushing yourself beyond your limits, one day you will realize you are far stronger than you ever imagined.